Good evening, everyone. Kalla here. Welcome to my live stream. Glad you could make it today. So today, it's a more variable Barricade. Last time we discovered that this whole suitor thing was due to pressure from the branch families, and the pressure is increasing. And they have their own choice, which means we had to choose a temporary fiancé. And that's basically that. We chose Nayata, obviously, because he was the only one we let through. But also because puppy. Hello Nick, hello Drag, how are you doing? I realised there was something I forgot to do, which I am just going to fix right now. I'm doing fine, other than I'm clearly not prepared. Hey. Right. The thing that I forgot to do was swap the new mic settings over to the console thing, so... Bonus higher volume time! Right. That's what I was supposed to do today. Because I only set up those new settings over on the PC game side. Right, now it's set up on the console game side. Volume. I did in fact do it today, that's true. But I was supposed to do it before I started and not get distracted. Right. So, Grandfather's head of security visits the house and reveals a surprising truth. Also, let me know if my adjustments on the audio balancing worked. If I need to turn the game back down a little bit, tell me.
お帰りなさいませ、ひばり様。お疲れのところ申し訳ありませんが、本日はお客様がお見えになっております。
お客様？私に？
はい。リビングでお待ちです。
I handed my bag to Kasuga and puzzled over who it could be. Who would come all the way to to the vacation house. Katsuga opened the front door for me, and I headed inside, still confused. And in the living room, where the suitors usually lazed around, there stood...
ああ、これはひばり様。お邪魔しております。
Tiger, Shion, and one unfamiliar man. Huh? Isn't he...
ご当主って、ひばり様。こりゃ失礼しました。もうおいでだったとは。ああ、もしかしてお忘れですか？我ながら影が薄い自覚はあるんですが。
いえ、覚えています。先日鎌倉の本家で。
そうですそうです。いやー、覚えていただけて光栄です。
Does this house need more security? Does this house have security, Drag?
それで私に何か。
いえ、大したことじゃないんです。ご当主からお使いを頼まれまして。
You make a good point. Naita is security, that is true. I would say he doesn't know he's security for the house, but I think he does, doesn't he? Well, he's security for Hibari.
おじい様からお使い。
I'm sure I looked very confused, but he just pulled out a pastry box from behind his back and held it out to me.
フルーツタルトだそうです。うまいって評判の店らしいですよ。
Okay, there's no way Grandpa sent you just to deliver a fruit tart, dude.
それはどうも。
Why would that old vulture go out of his way to do this? Something was fishy. The tart smelled divine, but it couldn't mask the scent of Grandfather's scheme.
何やってんだよ、お嬢。うまそうじゃねえか。早速味見してみようぜ。
あ、ちょっと。
お、こりゃマジで有名店のだぜ。俺もテレビで見たことある。
あ、ちょっと空気を読みなさいよ。
春日くん、紅茶用意できたよ。おや、おかえりひばりさん。ちょうどよかった。今紅茶が入ったところだよ。さあ、小次郎さんもどうぞ。砂糖とミルク、レモンはお好きに。
いやー、すいませんね。
I guess no matter how suspicious he is, he's still a guest. Since that was the case, I couldn't just have us all stand around awkwardly. I took a seat with resignation, but I still kept my guard up.
ねえ、小次郎だっけ？君はひばりちゃんのおじい様とどういう関係なの？
雑用兼軽い護衛役ってとこですかね。
護衛？へえ、そうなんだ。全然そんな感じしないけど。
よく言われます。
Yep, we also thought that. I kept my eye on him as we chatted, but as expected, I couldn't glean what his real intentions were. I'm sure Grandfather was up to something. We've been talking for nearly half an hour now. He didn't really just come to deliver that tart, did he? At least the tart was delicious. More importantly, how long does this guy plan on sticking around?
それにしてもナユタはまだお使いから帰ってこないのか。
そういや遅いな。あいつどこまで買いに行ってんだ。
せっかくナユタの分まで紅茶を用意してやったのに。
Nayuta? Now that they mentioned it, I realized he wasn't here. However, just as I had that thought,
たったいま
hooray, he's back.
あ、噂をすればなんとやら帰ってきたみたいだよ。
もうタイガさんの注文難しすぎますよ。ベリー&わさび味なんてどこにも。
Berry... Is that in the same thing, berry and wasabi flavor? Nayuta burst into the living room with his usual fervour, but he then stopped dead in his tracks. And then he said,
あれおじさん
Well, that's a surprise. And I guess that now explains why Kojiro doesn't really look like a bodyguard, but is one. Ah, Nayuta, your superpowered family. Now I know why you got picked for this.
Oji-san?
We all immediately looked at Kojiro. He seemed embarrassed and annoyed, but managed a strained laugh.
ひばり様と花婿候補の皆さん、改めましてどうも。
Does that mean that Nayuta being here is nepotism?
ナユタの叔父で八神小次郎と申します。
つまりまとめると小次郎さんは那由他くんのお父さんの弟？
Drag, that's basically, it's not spelt like that, but I'm basically saying that Nayuta's here because of who his family is. Although that's probably the case for all of them, isn't it? But I guess grandfather was like, if I'm assigning a bunch of potential grooms in a way of protecting Hibari, then what better way of protecting her than to put my head of security's nephew in there? I mean, it makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Oops.
そうなりますね。
Several minutes had passed after the surprising revelation. With Kojiro and Nayuta's explanation, I felt like I got a handle on the situation. If I'd known all this sooner, I would have given him a warmer welcome.
そんなわけでして、甥っ子がお世話になってます。こいつのことなんで絶対ご迷惑をおかけしてますよね。いやー、本当にすみません。
それはそのはい。
もうおじさんひどい。俺ちゃんとしてるって。ていうか俺とおじさんの関係は内緒ってことなんじゃなかったの？バラしちゃってよかったの？
君が最初に言ったんでしょ、おじさんって。
あ あれさえなければ俺たちが気づくこともなかったな。
はっ
バカ。
ごめんなさいおじさん。
いや、いいんだ。というか、今回はむしろ助かった。
助かった？それじゃあ今日来たのはまさか。
はい。私とナユタの関係をご説明するのが目的でした。
Oh, okay, we were going to get this explanation whether or not Naito was an idiot.
ただいざ来てみたら、それをどう切り出したものかと悩んでしまいまして。
How could he be so misleading?
あと、今回はそれともう一つ、ひばり様にも謝罪をと。
謝罪？
ほら、先日鎌倉でお会いした時、ものすごい警戒されてしまったので。
I guess I can't deny that.
名前を伏せていたのは那由他君との関係がバレないようにするためだったんですね。
あの時はまだ秘密扱いでしたから。おかげで挙動不審になってしまって、とんだご無礼を。
いえ、お気になさらず。そういう事情なら仕方ありませんし。
He has such a respectable reason, it almost feels anticlimactic. When he said he was running an errand for grandfather, I thought for sure he was up to something. It seems like the only good thing to come out of this whole situation was... I'm glad to find out not everyone in the Yagami family is like Naida. You mean an idiot? Because this guy's probably just as strong. Yep, that was the main takeaway, but that one fact made me feel a lot better. Idiot and/or masochist. I mean, we don't know that Uncle Kojiro isn't a masochist. Nick.
しかし驚いたな。まさか那由他のおじさんがおじい様の護衛役だったなんて。
もしかして那由他が花婿候補に選ばれたのって小次郎と関係あるの？
ああ、いやいや、それとこれとは別の話です。
I don't believe you, Uncle Kojiro. I'm afraid I don't believe that your family ties had nothing to do with this.
俺がご当主のそばにいるからといって那由他が有利になることはありませんよ。というかむしろいろいろ心配なんでとっとと玉砕してほしいぐらいです。
ひどい、おじさんひどい。そこは俺を応援するとこでしょ。
うるせえ。俺はお前が何かしでかさないか毎日心配で前髪が後退しそうなんだよ。
いやー、また人のせいにして。
Everyone else probably understood Kojiro's pain, except for Naida. And maybe Shion didn't either.
もう人の心配よりもさ、おじさんの方こそどうなってるの？お嫁さん探し。
あ？
身を固めるって宣言してもう5年だっけ？ああ、きっと順調なんでしょうね。
お前は相変わらずだな。町内一周してこい。
なんで？
いいから行ってこい。行かないとお前がおねしょしてた年までここでバラしてやるぞ。
今すぐ行ってきます。
Can we have other embarrassing childhood stories about Naida? Kojiro watched as Nayuta sulked out of the room. Then he let out a pig sigh.
すいませんね、騒がしいやつで。あの性格は昔から変わらなくて。
うん、そうだろうなって思った。ナユタはきっとナユタのまま大きくなっちゃったんだね。
むしろご苦労をお察ししますよ。20年も彼の世話をしてきたわけですから。
そう言ってもらえるとちょっと気が楽になります。
He chuckled softly, and then Tiger spoke up.
それでもう全部用事は済んだのか？
ああ、いや、それは。
Kojiro nodded his head toward me awkwardly and threw me a meaningful glance.
もしかしてまだ何か私に話が？
はい、すみませんが少しお時間をいただけますか。
I half expected this to involve going up to the top floor, where the others couldn't come. But no, outside apparently. At Kojiro's request, I went out to the courtyard with him. The sky was just changing colours.
ご当主様から聞きました。
Hello, Hunter. I'm fine. It's getting a little cold here, so I've moved my heater closer to me.
ナユタのやつを婚約者として選んだそうですね。
I had a feeling that's what he wanted to talk about. The other candidates didn't know that I'd chosen a tentative fiancé. I had expected this topic to come up when the others weren't around.
はい。ただあくまで仮なのでまだ確定ではありませんけど。
Yeah, I guess we don't have to worry about voices going through the floor / walls / whatever. But it's still... They could eavesdrop from the living room. Kasuga's probably stopping them doing that. I could eavesdrop from the windows above.
その辺のことも聞かされてます。分家の方々がとか。
Grandfather must really trust this man to tell him that much. I nodded appreciatively. Kojiro then stopped speaking and looked me directly in the eye.
どうしてナユタだったんです？
え？
俺はあいつを赤ん坊の頃からずっと見てきました。だからよくわかるんです。あいつは東条の婿なんて器じゃない。
Are you here to talk me out of this?
悪いやつじゃないのは保証しますけど、騒がしいし、そそっかしいし、目を離すとすぐに暴走するし、そもそもそれ以前にここでの生活だってちゃんとできているのか。
I couldn't help but break out into a smile as Kojiro talked.
ひばり様？
すみません。でもなんだかナユタ君のお父さんと話してるみたいで。
いや、こりゃお恥ずかしい。
Kojiro forced a smile and scratched his cheek aimlessly. I smiled softly at him.
心配されなくても大丈夫です。確かにそそっかしいとこはありますけど、素直だし、まっすぐだし、正直だし。私はすごくいい子だと思ってます。見ていて好感を抱けます。
好感ですか。
Kojiro closed his eyes, folded his arms, and furrowed his brow. He stayed like that for a while, just thinking. Eventually he spoke again, this time with more seriousness than before.
なら、 最後に一つだけ念のために聞かせてください。ひばり様、那由他が本当の婚約者になる可能性はありますか？
Well, that's what I'm personally aiming for. Hibari might have a different idea.
それは
Kojiro looked so serious, there was no way I was going to say something bad. I thought for a moment and said, ooh, I'm considering it a... Wait, quick save! I am in fact considering it. Yeah. Nope, wrong side, wrong side, wrong side, wrong side.
今はまだ こんなことを言うとおじい様にまた怒られそうですけど、私は正直言って結婚なんてまだまだずっと先のことだと思っていたんです。
だから急に花婿と言われてもまだピンとこないと。
はい、那由他君のこともいい人だとは思っていても、花婿にどうだと言われると。
なるほど。
After hearing my response, Kojiro folded his arms again and mulled things over for a short while.
すみません、こんな返答しかできなくて。
This is just like when grandfather questioned me. Being evasive without offering an answer. However,
ひばり様、そんな顔しないでください。
でも
未定で全然 OK です。ぜひそのまま慎重に検討を重ねてください。
Yes, Hunter, I did eventually get the notification over on Twitter, yeah. Eventually.
え？
何せひばり様の一生に関わることです。慎重になられて当然でしょう。ですから一度選んだからといってそれに縛られる必要はありません。慎重に検討して違う方に惹かれたらそちらを正式に選んでください。振られた那由他は私ら親族が慰めますんで。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Kojiro had finished with his errand, so he left after that. Nayuta's uncle. I admit I thought he seemed rather suspicious when I first met him, but I think I understand why grandfather keeps him close by. Nayuta has a caring family. How is he in debt? Well, given that even we're not very good at stopping him buying stupid things, and he like lives to please us basically. I assume they've tried. It would be beneficial for the Yagami family if Nayuta got engaged to me, of course. But I don't think Kojiro cared about any of that at all. I was a little curious as to why that was the case. So, he's Nayuta's family, huh? Once I realised that, and how well he must know Nayuta, it all made sense. my true purpose. Talking with his uncle Kojiro, Nayata reminisces on why he came to this house in the first place.
もうおじさんってば横暴なんだから。
I didn't mind taking a lap around town, but it bothered me that he didn't seem to want to see me. Why even come to the house then?
もう帰っちゃったかな。
いいや、俺ならここだ。
おじさん、なんで？
用が済んだから帰るところだ。最後にお前と話でもと思ってな。つうわけでちょっと付き合え。でだ、一緒に暮らしてみてどうだった？あのお嬢様は。
どうって、かっこいいし優しいし、まさに俺の理想通りって感じ。
理想通りねえ。確かに立場も含め申し分なさそうだが。
でしょでしょ。最初は警戒されてたんだけど、今はもう普通に話しかけてきてくれるし、あと散歩に連れて行ってくれたりとか、頑張った時にはお菓子くれたりもする。
ペット扱いってことな。
ペット？
いや、なんでもない。
ああ、でもちょうどよかった。実は俺悩んでることがあって。
悩み？お前が？
Uncle Kojiro's eyes widened in surprise, and I nodded slightly.
一緒に暮らして結構経つけど、ひばりさんまだ俺のこと全然信頼してくれないんだ。俺はもっと頼られたいし守りたいし踏まれたいのに。
踏まれ？
I just want to be helpful. Why can't I make Hibari understand that?
ねえおじさん、おじさんはどうしたらいいと思う？
Also, I think that answers our question as to whether Uncle Kojiro is a masochist. He's like, step on you? Why is that in the list? I was at my wit's end. What was I missing? Why couldn't Hibari trust me and rely on me?
ナユタ。
Uncle Kojiro let out a small sigh and looked at me with a serious expression.
あの家でのお前の生活ぶりは帰り際にみんなから聞いてきた。そしたらすぐ分かったよ。お前は無事に馴染んでるって。正直問題児のお前のことだし、速攻で追い出されてもおかしくないとか思ってたんだけどな。
追い出されたりしないってば。俺あそこでの生活大好きだし、一夜さんのご飯食べて、タイガさんと遊んで、シオンさんのお世話して、ひばりさんに構ってもらって、毎日すごく楽しい。
そうか、そりゃよかった。で、ナユタ、お前の目的は何だ？
え？
毎日が楽しいのは結構なことだけど、お前はそれでいいのか？
いいのかって、それは
よくないだろう。思い出せよ、ナユタ。お前があそこにいるのは何のためだ
He had heard something similar before.
ずいぶんボーダー下がってんな、おい。
え？ボーダー？何のですか？
ナユタはひばりちゃんの話し相手になりたかったのってこと？
Ooh, That's not why I'm doing this.
このままじゃ嫌だ。俺はひばりさんを守りたい。
Is that a blush I can see down in there in the corner?
そのためにも俺を選んでほしい。那由他君がいれば安心ってそう思ってほしい。たとえいらないって言われても俺
Like the rusty gears in my brain finally started to move. Once they started, there was no stopping them.
まあ守るってのは大変なことだ。時には嫌がられたり拒否されたりもする。そんな相手にはどうしたらいいか、俺はお前に教えたはずだぞ。
俺頑張る。
よし、いい返事だ。
Uncle Kojiro gave me a brief tight smile and then let out a breath. He turned around to leave.
それじゃあな、那由他。あまり迷惑をかけるんじゃないぞ。
分かってる。おじさんありがとう。またね。
Once Uncle Kojiro's figure disappeared into the distance, I clenched my fists with determination.
俺がここにいるのはひばりさんを守るため。
So, like, does Nayuta even actually want to be Hibari's husband? Or does he just want to be her bodyguard? If someone won't let you guard them as usual, that's when you... When you what?
八神那由他、ただいま戻りました。
お帰りなさい。
I found my motivation again and came home. As I entered the house, I saw Hibari coming out from the living room. I felt as if some higher power was in my corner cheering me on.
ひばりさん、
何？
俺明日から生まれ変わります。
Yeah, eh?
今まで以上に頑張りますから、どうか楽しみにしててくださいね。
よくわからないけど、頑張って。
ありがとうございます。よーし、おじさん、俺やるよー。
まあてなわけでして、お宅訪問は無事終了しました。結構ヒヤヒヤしてたんですけどね。でも話してみたらいいお嬢様でしたよ。甥っ子のこともフォローしてくれましたし。
当然じゃ、わしの孫娘じゃからな。なんじゃその顔は。
いいえ、別に何も。それより報告の続きですが、心配してた婚約者の件も大丈夫そうです。話を聞くに、那由他はほぼペットの位置に収まりつつあるみたいなんで。
そうなったか。
まあ俺としてはいっそペットのままもありっちゃありなんですが、でもそれじゃあいつか困る日が来る。なんでちょっと焚きつけてきました。やるだけやって見限られりゃ納得もできる。それに夢から覚めるなら早い方が本人の傷も浅いでしょうし。
それで可愛い甥っ子が泣いてもいいのか。薄情なおじじゃの。
確かに那由他は自分にとって可愛い甥っ子ですけども、間違っても東条家当主の伴侶なんて器じゃないですから。だから変にこじれる前にさっさと本命を選ばせとくべきですよ。祖父として可愛い孫のためを思うなら。
つまらん考えじゃのう。
東条家の未来がかかってることですよ。面白い面白くないの問題じゃないでしょ。
お前に嫁が来ん理由はそこらへんじゃな。
はい。
よいか、嫁が欲しければ婚活パーティーとやらに行く前にまず女心を学べ。女心を。
Grandfather's just like, yeah, you don't understand women at all, do you?
余計なお世話ですよ。それに俺パーティーじゃ人気だったんで、そんなことしなくたって今に。
ま、女心と秋の空とも言うがの。せいぜい励めよ。
あ、もうご当主待ってくださいよ、ご当主。
Alright, what's the next one? Work mode. At Manager's request, I let him act as my bodyguard as I go to and from school. When he's on the job, he...
ということで、今日から俺ひばりさんの登下校についていきます。
は？あのね、成田くん、お散歩だったら帰ってから。
I don't think he'll be driving us, I think he'll just be accompanying us, you know, the way Kasuga does.
もう違いますってば。俺思ったんです。最近物騒な事件とか多いですし、それがいつ降りかかるかわからない。だからひばりさんは普段からもっとしっかり守られる必要があるんじゃないかって。
はあ？
一理ありますね。
春日？
ひばり様の身の安全については我々も以前から懸念していた部分です。本家の使用人の間でも外出時に護衛をつけるべきではという意見が数多くありましたから。
心配しすぎじゃない？学校と家を往復するだけなのよ。
お言葉ですが、東条は蝶にも届こうかという日本有数の資産を持つ家です。その後継者ともなればいつ何に襲われても不思議はありません。
確かにね。彼女くらいなら専属のボディーガードの一人くらいついてるのが普通だと思うよ。
でしょ？さすがシオンさん。絶対に邪魔しないのでお願いします。登下校、俺に守らせてください。
How many people know where they are? Well, definitely everyone at school. Beyond that, who knows? He says he won't get in the way. I turned to Kasuga for help, but he remained silent, his look basically saying I could do as I pleased. Oh no, he's giving us the puppy dog eyes! He looks like a sad puppy. Naya just stared at me and I couldn't help but let out a small sigh.
わかった。
I see that Hibari has no more power than I do versus the sad puppy eyes.
ただし、登下校の送り迎えだけよ。学校には入らないこと。いい？
もちろんです。それじゃ早速仕事モードにしますね。
仕事モード？
すぐ済みますから5秒くらいで。
After he said that, Nayata closed his eyes. He then quietly started counting the seconds out loud.
1、2、3、4、5。
And then,
お疲れ様でした、ひばりさん。学校に到着しましたよ。
serious, huh?
ええ。
足元気をつけてください。つまずかないように。
ありがとう。
いえ。
Even when giving a quick reply, Nayata narrowed his eyes and carefully observed our surroundings. He was now calm and collected. Actually, calm and collected described him to a frightening degree. I see we have gone from puppy to guard dog here. He normally couldn't keep quiet for more than 3 seconds, but he barely said a word in the car. He's been like this ever since he counted to 5. I felt my brow beginning to furrow when...
ひばりさん、下がってください。
Nayata pushed me against the car and threw his body in front of me. What's going on? I could sense a terrifying tension radiating from him. Scared, I shut my eyes and cowered, and then...
すみません。スムギさんだったんですね。気づかず失礼しました。
He just went, someone's coming! I hurriedly peeked my head out and, sure enough, saw my best friend, who looked extremely shocked.
ひばり様、私はただちょっとしたお茶目で誰だをしようと。
Ah, she was trying to be sneaky though. Okay.
不意打ちを狙った不審者かと思う。本当にすみませんでした。
不審者？とりあえず行きましょう。ナイト君、それじゃね。
はい、行ってらっしゃいませ。お帰りの際はまたお迎えに上がります。
八神さんは何か悪いものでも召し上がったんですの？
I made sure that Nayata was out of sight and then heaved a big sigh.
実はね、ナイタ君が今朝突然登下校についていくって言い出して。
I recounted the events from this morning to Tsumugi, and she nodded her head as if it all made sense.
なるほど、そういうことでしたのね。いい、すごくいいじゃありませんの。は？クールで動じない自分だけのボディーガードなんて素敵設定。何かが始まる予感がしますわ。
Potent, you found respect for Tsumugi. Her ability to change gears is incredible. Tsumugi's reaction stunned me momentarily. Then I hurried to class, pulling her along with me as she continued to gush incessantly. Later,
お疲れ様でした、ひばりさん。帰り道も引き続きご一緒しますので。
ええ、よろしく。
Naito hadn't changed one bit, even later after school let out. I was hoping he'd be back to his normal self by now. In the car, I looked over at him just like I did this morning. When I thought back, he'd always been the same ever since I met him. Upbeat, boisterous, childish, cute. But now...
どうかしました？
なんでも。
It is a bit weird to have Nayuta suddenly be competent. It's weird. The way he observed his surroundings with such seriousness was not childish. It was strangely mature. But why so suddenly? No, it wasn't completely out of nowhere. Something Nayuta said to me last night. Something about being a brand new person?
ねえ、なゆたくん。もしかして、カジロウさんに何か言われたの？
Nayuta's eyes moved slightly when I said that.
だから急にボディーガードなんて言い出したの？
それもあります。だけど俺自身が気づいたんです。
ダメって何を？
Nayuta looked at me seriously, though he didn't directly answer my question.
俺分かってたんです。悪い意味じゃなくペットみたいな感覚でひばりさんは俺を見てくれてるって。
I guess he's not wrong.
俺もそれはすごく嬉しいです。構ってもらって褒めてもらってお話しして。でもそれは俺が一番やりたいことじゃない。
やりたいことって？
He paused for a moment, then he smiled softly and said,
あなたを守ることです。覚えてますか？前に面接を受けていろいろ聞かれたとき同じような話をしたこと。
ええ。
I tried to recall the faint memory.
守ります。いつでもどこでもどんな敵からも。
守るとおっしゃいますが、それは精神的な意味ですか？それとも物理的な意味ですか？
あの時はうまく言えませんでしたけど、今ならちゃんと答えられます。どこにいてもどんな時でも体を張ってひばりさんの心と体を守る。それが俺の守るってことです。
After he calmly explained that to me, Nayuta stopped speaking and went back to scanning our surroundings. I honestly didn't think things were so dangerous that it warranted him escorting me to and from school. But he had really thought this through and was trying to protect me. That made me happy, but simultaneously uneasy. I mean, maybe it's kind of cool to have a bodyguard? I let out a deep sigh and shook my head. We need a third Nayuta somewhere between guard dog and puppy. Yeah. Like a guard dog that we can also pet. Maybe I needed to change my perception of Nayuta. The real him was more mature than I thought he was.
ひばりさん、ひばりさん、ひばりさん。
Oh no. You're just gonna flip.
どうですか？俺ちゃんと護衛できてました。点数で言うと何点ぐらいですか？
え？
もうちゃんと聞いてください。俺の護衛何点ぐらいだったか。
ああ、いえ、聞こえてはいたの。ただ理解が追いつかなくて。
We had just arrived home and had barely stepped one foot into the house. It was like a switch had flipped inside Nayuta. He came right up to me and I averted my gaze and took a breath.
那由他くん。
はい、なんでしょう。ジュース飲みますか？
いえ、あなた那由他くんよね。
はい、心配なら俺の頬をつねってください。俺が痛かったら現実です。
いえ、夢とかそういうのじゃ。なんでちょっと嬉しそうなの？
え
I stared at Nayuta, his smile beaming brightly. I then looked up at the ceiling and thought, I do not understand this boy. I mean, work mode probably took a lot of energy, Hibari. The strongest bodyguard. The difference between when he's on and off the clock is shocking, but there's no doubt Nayuta will always protect me.
いやはや、素晴らしい。今年も力作揃いですな。
ええ、まったく。特にあの作品など、若き日のゴーギャンを思わせるようなタッチが実に。
いえ、田園風景がモチーフな点といい、むしろミレーの影響の方が強いのでは？
なるほど、そういう見方もできますな。お嬢様はどう思われます？
そうですね。皆様ほどの審美眼はないのですが、ただ見る者に訴えかけてくるようで、素人目に見ても素晴らしい作品かと。
いやはや、訴えかけてくるとはさすが東条のお嬢様ですな。評価する言葉にも重みがある。
That was a very polite way for Hibari to say, I have no idea what you mean, but painting pretty.
価値あるものに囲まれてお育ちになられた方はやはり違いますな。
As I smiled in response to their cliched remarks, my eyes wandered away from the array of paintings on display. I had attended this exhibition of paintings in Roppongi on grandfather's behalf. There you go, Drag. Family business indeed. Today was an exclusive viewing for patrons, so the only people in attendance were either supporters or members of the press. This is exhausting. Maybe I felt this way because everything with the boys at home was so relaxed. But I found conversations where I had to think about my public position to be awfully tiresome.
そういえばお嬢様は今年で17になられたそうですね。
なんと月日が経つのは早いですな。しかしそうなるとそろそろご婚約のお話が出てくる頃では。
Yeah, I think being somewhere where there's a lot of press people means, yeah, a lot more people. They really enjoy talking about this, don't they? For people like them, and talking about marriage was a great way to learn about the stability of another business. They could easily tell by my choice of partner if the business was headed for financial trouble or not.
まあ、お話はいろいろと。ただ、私もまだ高校生ですので。
しかし、 ご当主様も早く婿を迎えて一息つきたいのでは？
厳選された婿候補の方ともそろそろ顔合わせがあるでしょうしな。
Why are they so insistent? I felt disgusted, but I plastered a smile on my face and was about to speak when
ひばり様、
Nayata had been waiting quietly until then.
ご歓談中すみません。ご当主様から連絡が。
おじい様から？
Is Nayata getting us out of this conversation?
おや、そちらは新しく雇われた護衛役といったところですかな？
若いのにしっかりとした立ち振る舞いだ。さすがはお嬢様。おじい様に負けず劣らず、人を見る目は確かのようですね。
ええ、まあ。
We couldn't tell them he was actually one of my prospective grooms, so I just gave them a faint smile. But he certainly is perfect as a bodyguard. I'm just amused by you have the same good eye for this as your grandfather. It's like, yeah, my bodyguard's related to his. In fact, he had been so quiet that I almost forgot he was there. Back when I decided to attend the exhibition.
ということだから、週末は家を空けるわね。
了解です。つまり俺の出番ですね。
え？
美術展とか人がいっぱいいますし、護衛が必要だと思うんです。
いや、でも
春日さんもシオンさんもひばりさんには護衛が必要って言ってたじゃないですか。
それはそうだけど。
ならお願いします。
真面目な場なのよ。おとなしくしてられる？
はい、仕事モードで頑張ります。
I didn't realize he could be this diligent. Nayata is unbelievably calm compared to his usual self. That work mode of his sure is incredible.
それでひばり様、ご当主様へのお返事はどうされますか？
You wonder if work mode is how he repaid his debt so quickly. Yeah, if he can just suddenly get serious like this, then yeah.
そうね。それなら申し訳ありません。少し失礼させていただきます。
いえいえ、お構いなく。
I bowed politely and left together with Nayata. Once we were far enough away, I spoke to Nayata again.
それでおじい様からの連絡っていうのは？
嘘です。
Yep, he did do that to get us out of the awkward conversation.
あれ嘘だったんです。ひばりさん、お疲れのようだったので、もしかして余計なお世話でした？
ありがたかったわ。
So his bodyguarding extends to things that aren't just physical threats. I was dumbfounded that he would say such a thing so casually. I knew it was rude to think this, but I didn't think he would even consider something like that. He would surprise even Kasuga. In fact, Nayata blended in seamlessly, even here where there were many experienced bodyguards. I had a feeling that sponsor wasn't just being flattering about Nayata. Am I feeling happy. It must be the same kind of feeling one gets when their beloved dog is praised. Feeling a bit better, I decided to look around at the paintings once more. No! Hello, Mama. I mean, I knew there was one of these in Roppongi, but hello, Mama. Blindsided by giant spider sculpture. Yeah, there's at least 3 of them. One in Tokyo, in Roppongi, or near Roppongi anyway. There's one in Bilbao outside the Guggenheim Museum. And there's at least one more, and I don't remember where it is. All I had to do was attend the event in Grandfather's place and go around greeting people with a smile. In the past, I could have handled it without an issue, even with all the etiquette that comes with being the Tojo family heir. But now I felt strangely worn down. But I managed to get through it.
那由他くんも一日お疲れ様。ずっと気を張ってて疲れたでしょ。春日に迎えを頼んだら待ってる間にお茶でもしましょ
う。いえ、俺のことならお気遣いなく。疲れているのなら早く帰った方がいいと思います。ここは人も多いですし、何かのトラブルに巻き込まれないとも限りませんから。
I had to go and look. There is actually quite a few more than 3. Apparently one of them is at the Tate Modern here in the UK. There's one in Canada, a couple of them in America, one in South Korea and one in Qatar. Anyway. Why are there giant stone spiders? They're giant metal spiders, actually. And the reason is because art. Modern art is weird, and that's why. Is something wrong, he says. Bewildered by his overly calm demeanor, I let out a sigh.
あのね、ネイタ君。外に出たんだから気を楽にして、いつもみたいに振る舞っていいのよ。ほら、嬉しそうにはしゃいだり、尻尾を振って走り回ったり。
そういうわけにはいきません。油断した時が一番危険ですから。
What could possibly be risky about such a peaceful afternoon? I couldn't help but feel a little dejected seeing him still standing at attention. I just wanted to have a nice cup of tea with him after such a tedious day. true that Naruto was usually too energetic and rambunctious, but him being so calm and controlled like this also left something to be desired. Was it selfish of me to think that?
ひばりさん、どうしました？
いえ、なんでもないわ。行きましょう。
I had moved just one step forward when my phone rang. It was Kasuga.
もしもし、ちょうどよかったわ。今展覧会から。
すぐにその場を離れてください。
え？
いいから早く。
The sound of deafening screams made me drop my phone involuntarily. I hurriedly picked up my phone and held it to my ear, but all I could hear was static. What's going on?
ひばりさん、俺の後ろに。
何？今の声。
いいから早く。
Naruto grabbed my arm and pulled me behind him without saying a word. His eyes darted around the area. At the center of all the screams and commotion... Oh, dude with a knife? There was a man wielding a bloody knife, laughing maniacally.
終わりだ。俺はもう終わりなんだ。2000万とかふざけんな。俺が一体何したってんだ。答えろよ、俺。
Do we worry about the paintings? The paintings are inside. This guy's outside. I think the paintings will be fine.
ひばりさん、落ち着いて。大丈夫。こっちには気づいてません。下手に刺激したりせず、静かにここから離れましょう。
The man wasn't acting in a rational manner. He was mumbling to himself and moving erratically, all while wielding a knife. I need to get out of here while we still have the chance. Naruto calmly directed me and I nodded to him, just as I was slowly backing away.
あいつが別れるとか言い出さなきゃ真剣も持っていかれずに済んだのによ。
The slasher looked up sluggishly and dragged his gaze around his surroundings. A small child among the crowd in the distance caught his attention.
なんだ、こんなとこにいたのか。そこ動くんじゃねえぞ。お父さんがすぐに。
やめなさい!
I screamed without thinking. The words just flew out of my mouth when I saw the man's glistening knife and the child frozen in fear. I wasn't prepared. My legs shook and even my voice was trembling. Oh no! Silence washed over me. The man stopped moving and looked directly at me. I could see myself reflected in his cloudy eyes, struggling to restrain my trembling.
何があったか知らないけど、見知らぬ子供を狙うなんて恥ずべきことよ。
My hands began to shake. My throat was so dry I couldn't even swallow. The man kept staring at me, his face broadening into a wide smile.
ようやく見つけたぞ、クソ女。校長の娘だか理事の娘だか知らねえが、お前が俺のことを訴えてくれたせいで俺の人生は全部パーだ。
What the world is he talking about? clearly saw someone in me, but who? The man glared at me with hate-filled, bloodshot eyes. He clearly wanted to murder me, which made my legs start shaking all over again.
ひばりさん、怖がらないで。大丈夫です。
Yeah, Nayata can handle this.
でも逃げないと。
今は下手に逃げた方が危険です。この場で対処します。
Nayata whispered this to me, his tone matter of fact. He gently placed a hand on my shoulder. Then, while keeping me behind him, he readied himself calmly and kept his eye on the deranged man.
お前のせいで俺は何もかも失ったんだよ。
The man dove at Nayata while shouting incomprehensible gibberish. Nayata knows how to deal with this. I mean, when I was doing martial arts, I was taught how to deal with this, so Nayata definitely knows how to deal with this. Nayata parried the knife and grabbed the man's arm as if to twist it. Yep, that sounds about right. And slammed him face first into the ground.
離せクソが。てめえもあの女の。
That is in fact pretty much how I was taught to deal with that situation.
動くな。
You sort of parry the knife arm sideways, grab the arm and basically twist it behind them, and keep twisting until they're forced to go to the ground. One forced to go to the ground and two forced to let go of the knife. Nayata pressed the man's body into the ground and kept a grip on his arm. Nayata looked down at the man, completely unfazed by his cries.
怖い思いさせちゃってごめんなさい。もう大丈夫ですよ、ひばりさん。
He wore the same carefree smile as before, back when he destroyed the boxing machine. He didn't look like he was in the middle of pinning a dangerous attempted murderer to the ground. Well, now that he's in that position, it doesn't actually require that much effort. Aside from the kneeling on the dude parts. Before long...
動くな。麻布警察署のものだ。
With sirens blaring, the police finally arrived on the scene. Nayata nodded to them and handed the criminal over while still holding onto the man's arms.
お疲れ様です。犯人の身柄確保お願いします。凶器はあそこに。包丁のみで銃はなしです。
Nayata seemed oddly used to this and spoke to the officer in a familiar way. Then he walked over to me looking concerned.
大丈夫ですか、ひばりさん。怪我はありませんか？
He was being very considerate, so I said, Ooh. I'm gonna get this wrong again. I swear I'm gonna get this wrong. I feel like this one? The more open option? I was so scared. Sort of. Yeah. Yeah, got it. He's got a sword now. murder in his eyes and the blood-stained knife. Just thinking about it made my body start shaking again and my face go pale.
そうですよね。でももう終わりましたから。それにいつも言ってるでしょ。ひばりさんは俺が守るって。だから安心してください。
He had said many times that he would protect me. I never realized how serious he was about that until now. Should we be scared of the person with the knife or Naito with the sword? Naito wouldn't hurt us. I nodded slightly while mulling over what he said.
まあ、本当は俺としては早く逃げてほしかったんですけど、俺の役目はあなたを守ること、危険から遠ざけることですから。
I knew that my actions had been rash. Naito had told me not to provoke him. I can't believe I shouted at the criminal to get his attention. But
でもあの時はそうするしかないと思ったの。犯人が子供に近づこうとした時、どうしても黙っていられなかった。
それです。
Naito nodded and came close to me. His eyes were filled with an indescribable emotion, almost like he was in a frenzy.
あの状況で子供を助けようとする人、やっぱりあの時からずっと思ってたけど、俺間違ってなかった。
What is he talking about? His strange statements baffled me. But I didn't have much time to ask him what he meant.
すみません、そこの方。取材させていただいてもよろしいでしょうか。
Ah, the press is here.
犯人に向かっていきましたよね。相手は刃物を持っていたのに恐ろしくはなかったんですか？
そこ、まだ近づかないでください。報道関係の方は離れてください。
We found ourselves surrounded by an ocean of reporters. There were a few police officers trying to control the situation. And then there were bystanders all around, pointing their phones at us and taking pictures. Now that everything had become a giant spectacle, we couldn't just sneak off and disappear. We ended up being questioned by the police. Several hours later, night had already fallen.
ただいま。
ただいまです。
We were completely exhausted. As we entered the living room, the others greeted us. It was clear they'd been worried. I mean, I'm guessing getting questioned by the police got us away from the press.
一応無事みてえだ。
ひばりさん、怪我はどこか痛む場所はないかい？よかった。君に万一のことがあったらどうしようかと。
I called earlier to tell them we were okay, but everyone was still quite worried about me. I forced a smile at their relieved expressions.
心配かけてごめんなさい。でも、ナイタ君のおかげで怪我はしてないから。
頑張ったね、ナユタ。ひばりちゃんを守ってくれてありがとう。偉い偉い。
しかしマジビビったぜ。ニュース見ながら通り魔なんて物騒なもんだなーって話してたら、春日が今お嬢が映ったって言い出してよ。慌てて電話した時には遅かった。 俺ら全員テレビの前で真っ青。
Wait, they watched it happen on the television? Tiger gave me an awkward smile and pointed at the TV, where a breaking report was being broadcast. It showed two people on screen with pixelated faces to conceal their identities. But there was no doubt, it was Nayata and me. Ah, Samugi noticed. What a hero! You bug him for everything, don't you? I guess everyone knows now. After seeing numerous whiz messages come in one after another, I buried my head in my hands. I do not want to go to school.
はい、皆様、そこまでです。心配なお気持ちもわかりますが、ひばり様も八神様も何時間も警察に事情を聞かれてお疲れですので。
Kasuga intervened, and we all decided to save the blow-by-blow for tomorrow. Yeah, there's going to be so many people who want to talk to Hibari at school tomorrow. I staggered back to my room and collapsed on the couch. That was such an ordeal. I shuddered thinking about what would have happened if Nayata hadn't been there. But...
動くな。
Even when faced with a deadly blade, Nayata took the criminal down without any fear and looked at him coldly. In that moment, he was nothing like the man I knew. I don't even know who Nayata is. I thought he was the most obedient and uncomplicated out of all of them, the one with nothing to hide. However, he also had a side to him that was terrifying. I saw that when he took that guy down. The part of Nayata I knew well was normally boisterous and cheerful, kind of like a puppy. Which one is the real him? I slowly closed my eyes while thinking about it. I have my very own guardian. When Nayata protected me from that man, it looked like an action hero out of a familiar movie. Well, my greatest accomplishment. Nayata bounces with joy over having protected me. But if he wants my trust, he'll need to... I think I'm going to go with this one first, and then we can go through from the other one. There was a series of knife attacks in Roppongi Hills during the weekend that resulted in some injuries. It became known as the Hills Slasher Incident. That day, when a deranged man brandished a blade and attacked numerous passers-by... Oh, sorry, we're supposed to be in Nayata mode. I happened to be there with Hibari.
終わりだ。俺はもう終わりなんだ。
The man grasped his blade while uttering incomprehensible nonsense. While standing in front of Hibari, I calmly analysed my opponent. The only weapon is a kitchen knife. The blade is about 20 centimetres long. Based on his speech patterns and erratic gaze, it's highly likely he's in a state of mental agitation. Danger level is also high. I must get her out of here immediately.
ひばりさん、落ち着いて。大丈夫。こっちには気づいてません。下手に刺激したりせず、静かにここから離れましょう。
ええ。
Hibari followed my directions and slowly started to back away. She seemed surprised by the unexpected situation, but she hadn't lost her sense of calm. That's my Hibari. Safe for now. Fortunately, we were far enough from the perpetrator. Right now, all I had to do was get her to safety. That was my responsibility. But just as I thought that... The perpetrator set his eyes on a little boy, changing the situation. Then a moment later... Hibari shouted at him, even though she was supposed to be taking cover behind me. She had to be scared. Her voice sounded hoarse. Her body had frozen and her legs trembled slightly. Hibari, the one I was supposed to protect, still shouted to stop him despite her fear. In that moment, I felt like the person who was the most surprised wasn't the criminal or Hibari, it was me. Not many people would speak up if it meant putting themselves in danger. But Hibari did. She was the first one to do it. That fact filled me with emotion more than anything else. She must have been really afraid to admit something like that. And then I knew, right then and there, she's definitely the one I'm supposed to protect. Sure, I was the one who actually took down the perpetrator, but that was just a minor detail. Hibari had the kind of strength I admire. Not physical strength or martial arts ability, but a noble heart that does not tolerate evil. That's right, just like a hero. I threw myself onto the bed as soon as I walked into my room. I'd been a bodyguard for Hibari at that exhibition. Then there was the slasher incident on the street and a super long interview with the police after. On top of that, Ichiro and the others bombarded us with questions when we got home. My body actually feels fine, but mentally I'm worn out. Wow, I never thought I'd say that.
Yatta! Yatta da! 俺ひばりさんを守ったんだ。
うるせえ、今何時だと思ってんだ。
I could hear Tiger shouting and kicking our shared wall, but I didn't care. I rolled around on the futon with a big grin on my face. Then I heard my phone ringing on the bedside table. It was...
おじさん、俺やったよ。
わかってるからちょいボリューム落とせ。
ニュースも見たでしょ。どうだった？おじさんから見て合格？うる
さいって言ってるだろ。ああ、もう9大点だ、あんなもん。
厳しい。もっと褒めてくれてもいいのに。
素人はったをした程度で調子に乗るな。まあ、ただよくやったとは言っておいてやる。ご当主様からも礼を言われたしな。
本当？
しかしお前も厳禁なやつだな。前とは気合が全然違ったじゃねえか。
だってようやく巡り会えた本当に守りたい人なんだもん。もっと頑張ってもっと信頼を深めて絶対に認めてもらうんだ。
そうか。まあやる気があるのは結構なんだがな。ただ気をつけろよ。
何に？
やりすぎてお嬢様に迷惑をかけるなってことだ。
それくらい俺も分かってるよ。信頼を失うようなことはしないって。
本当だろうな。本当に理解できてるか？
He's just an old worrywart.
ああ、ごめんおじさん。明日早いから俺もう寝るね。おやすみ。
おい、なよ。
Hung up the phone and a sense of accomplishment washed over me. My uncle had given me a compliment. It was a tiny one, but still. Today was a really super awesome day. Turned off the lights with a big smile on my face and went to sleep. Later that night.
よく頑張ったね、なゆたくん。
I had a really good dream. At least, I think I did. Several days had passed since the slasher incident.
ひばりさん、到着しましたよ。足元に気をつけてください。
ええ、ありがとう。
I got out of the car before her and handed Hibari her school bag when she stepped out. I scanned the area and could see students quietly walking onto the school grounds.
さすがにもうなゆたくんを見て騒ぐ人もいなくなったみたいね。
Oh, they were mobbing Nayuta, huh?
あれから結構経ちますし、みんな見慣れたんだと思います。
そうね。私もなゆたくんのガーディアン姿にも多少慣れてきたし、時々まだ。
ガーディアン
Guardian mode.
なんでもない。それじゃ行ってきます。
はい、お気をつけて。また放課後お迎えに上がります。
ええ、よろしく。今日はつむぎも一緒だからお願いね。
As I bowed and saw Hibari off, a feeling of satisfaction swelled in my chest again. Thank you. Take care. See you after school. Those everyday phrases filled my heart with emotion. That feeling alone made me willing to put myself in harm's way for her, regardless of the danger. So I gotta give 110% for Hibari. No, 150%. 200%. Thinking about Hibari replenished my motivation. Everything was going well so far, and I didn't think there was anything to worry about. I did have something on my mind, though.
なんでもない。それじゃ行ってきます。
Sometimes Hibari acted so weird. Sometimes she'd glance over at me numerous times. Sometimes she'd get flustered over something I said, and sometimes she'd even blush slightly. If she's not feeling well, she needs to see a doctor. Oh boy! Nayuta, you dumb. Well, I mean, I think we were well aware that Nayuta is a shonen manga protagonist, so he always was gonna be not great at noticing that. Or maybe she looks at me like that because she still doesn't trust me? Yeah, that's gotta be it. It'd be way too naive to think she'd trust me yet. All I did was defend her one time. I vowed this to myself and clenched my fists in determination. Right, I'm gonna go get some water. I will be right back. And I'm back. My very own guardian.
お前が俺のことを訴えてくれたせいで俺の人生は全部パーだ。お前のせいで俺は何もかも失ったんだよ。
The delirious man approached us, spewing his narcissistic hatred. I seized up with fear, disregarding Nayuta's orders. Just when the man was about to thrust his gleaming blade at me.
危ないところでしたね。お怪我はありませんか、ひばりさん。
那由他くん。
あとは俺に任せていい子にしていてくださいね。
でも
あなたはご褒美のキスを準備して待っていてください。
Hibari, where is your brain going?
そう
Naoto clenched his fists and wound up for a powerful punch. He then slammed his fist into the man's face with immense force.
ひばりさんに手を出すなんて100年早い。
那由他くん、怪我はない？
おやおや、待っていてくださいと言ったのに、いけないお嬢様だ。
I ran to him and he grabbed my waist, pulling me in close. Then he whispered softly in my ear.
大切なあなたに怪我がなくてよかった。
那由他くん。
ひばりさん。
Naoto pulled away from my ear and placed his hands on my shoulders, making eye contact with me. He then slowly came closer and closer to my lips. Close enough that I could faintly feel his breath. I tried to steady my racing heart and closed my eyes. Hibari, your subconscious has got it bad.
Yume?
I muttered to myself, then covered my mouth in surprise. In my dream, Naoto and I were going to kiss. I pulled the covers over my head and squeezed my eyes shut. No, dreams just happen, right? They're not in your control. What happened yesterday must have... The slasher incident yesterday in Roppongi Hills. A man wielding a knife appeared in Roppongi Hills while I happened to be visiting. Naoto protected me from that dangerous man and risked himself to save me. Thinking about it made me break out in a cold sweat even now. It was impossible to forget something so shocking overnight. On top of all that, Naoto was so calm and dignified yesterday. It was so unlike him. It was kind of hot. But still!
大切なあなたに怪我がなくてよかった。
いくらなんでも美化しすぎよ。
I knew it was time to get out of bed. Reluctantly, I dragged myself out from under the covers, even though I felt like I wanted to cry. After I got dressed and calmed down somewhat, I stood in front of the dining room and took a deep breath. Here we go.
おはようございます、ひばりさん。今日の朝ごはんはエッグベネディクトです。ほら、サイドのサラダもたっぷり。
そうね。
デザートもプリンみたいなプリンじゃないやつで。
Why is there dessert with breakfast?
オレンジジュースも絞りたて。
美味しそう。
Naoto looked at me with a curious expression. I turned away from him and subconsciously took half a step back.
ひばりさん、どうかしたのかい？
なんか動きが怪しいよ
体調でも悪いの？
なの。なんでもないから。
That's right. It was nothing. I just can't look nicer in the face. I picked up my fork, plucked everything else out, and began to eat my salad. You're questioning Eggs Benedict, are you, Drag? It's definitely a thing. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what it is. So this is why we're gonna look it up. Okay, so it's bread, then bacon or ham, then a poached egg, and then sauce. So definitely a breakfast thing. I hurriedly finished my breakfast so I could escape the boys and get to school. Since it was the day after the incident, a lot of people at school looked at me curiously. But the faculty was respectful of my space, so I managed to have a peaceful day. Then, after school, Samugi said we should celebrate everything working out safely and go over the details at a cafe. That's how I ended up at another girl talk session.
お怪我がなくて安心しましたわ。あんな事件に巻き込まれるなんて。
More like a breakfast muffin of sorts, Drag. But like with hollandaise sauce on the top of it, and possibly not with the top half of the muffin on.
Honto, 奇跡っちゃ奇跡だよね。今朝はいろいろ大変そうだったけど。
あれには驚いたわ。いらっしゃったわ。道場様よ。ご覧になって。あのボディーガードの方もご一緒。テレビで見るよりずっと凛々しくて素敵だわ。
What's going on?
皆様、申し訳ありません。道を開けていただきたいのですが。
失礼しました。今話しかけられましたわよね。なんて素敵な声。
バリさん、騒音に気を取られず俺についてきてください。まずは職員室へ向かいます。
You're not supposed to be coming onto school grounds, Nayata. The commotion, he says.
騒がれることは覚悟してたけど、まさかなゆたくんまで。いいえ、それは当然ですわ。え？生放送を見ていたのですけれど、八神さんが犯人を抑えた時には思わず拳を握ってしまいましたもの。普段はワンコのように人懐かくて、ひばり様の周りを跳ねているのに。あの時の彼はまさに狼。飢えた獣のような迫力でしたわ。
あれは私もびっくりした。なゆたさんって格闘技とかやってんの？
うん。空手とか柔道とか何十種類もやってるって前に言ってた。
何十種類も？何それ？
かわいい子犬の顔して腕っぷしはピカイチだなんて。
Samugi, you already knew he was super strong. given the arcade debacle.
なんというギャップ萌え。それならひばり様がときめいてしまうのも当然ですわね。
What did she just say? Nayuta sets my heart aflame? No, 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 no. Absolutely not.
なんてからかうのは。
She's only kidding, but she's hit the nail on the head.
そんなわけないでしょ。ひばり様？なんで私が那由他君にときめかなきゃいけないの？そりゃ昨日はそのあれだったけど、でもあれはそのあれで。どうしましょう有村さん。私可愛らしい顔を見たくて少しからかっただけでしたのに、この反応はどう見ても。
ときめいたんだ。
違うわよ。別に那由他君のことなんて。
はい。お呼びですか？
Nope, nope, she definitely didn't call for you. You should not be hearing this conversation.
なんでもない。
わかりました。
Practically invisible when he's in work mode. So much so that I forgot he was even there. I made sure Nayuta went back to his seat on the other side of the cafe. Then I leaned in closer to the girls. Oh good, he's on the opposite side of the room.
そういうんじゃないの。どっちかそう、ペットよ、ペット。元気な子犬。ですが、先ほどの反応は。だからあれは。
別にいいじゃん。那由他さんかっこよかったし。
だからどうして。ちょっと待ってくださいな。ひばり様とボディーガード、その組み合わせはどこかで。そうですわ。私としたことが失念していました。今度は何？ひばり様の好きな映画ランキングのトップ3に入っているんですの。あれがガーディアン、君だけを守るが。
Yes, this is where the Guardian nicknames come from, isn't it?
何それ？
ご存知ありませんの？昔ハリウッドでショーを総なめにしたボディーガードものの金字塔ですわ。ちなみに主人公とヒロインの出会いは街中で通り魔に襲われたヒロインを主人公が助けたことがきっかけ。そしてその主人公の有名な決め台詞は、ご褒美なキスを準備して待っていて。
Thought I knew that line from somewhere. I had no idea I could be so easily influenced. Faced with the source of the dream, I put my head down on the table.
なんだ、あんた好みなんじゃん、ボディーガード。
No matter how much I tried to deny it, famous scenes from the movie kept playing in my head. The hero jumping into the ocean while holding the heroine in his arms. The hero protecting the heroine, getting injured and struggling to stand up. The heroine gently kissing the hero for the last time as he breathes his dying breath.
今、自分に置き換えて脳内再生しましたわね。面白くなってきましたわ。鉄壁ガードのひばり様が憧れたボディーガードとお嬢様の愛の物語。それと同じことがご自身に起きた時、 ひばり様は果たしてどう感じるのか。これは目が離せませんわね。
How will I feel when we fall in love, just like in the movie? When we fall in love? Nayuta and I? Did I fall for both sides of him? No, I couldn't have. There's no way. Absolutely no way. Right? Oh, you've got it bad, Hibari. You've got it bad. And I mean, reasonable reasons. I need a hero. Looking for Tiger's DVD gives me an excuse to tidy Nayuta's room. There, I find something nostalgic. Wait, does he have a copy of that movie? A sunny, bright weekend afternoon. It was so relaxing, I felt like I could take a nap. I was dozing in my room when a resounding scream abruptly woke me. Oh my gosh, what now? I followed the echoing screams from my room down to the first floor. And what I found was...
謝らなくていいからさっさと見つけてこい。
のー、頭が悪い
ねえ、暴れるなら他でやってよ。僕のティータイムを邪魔しないで。
Tiger was giving Nayuta a noogie, for lack of a better term. Poor Nayuta had tears in his eyes. And Shion was just sitting next to them, enjoying a cup of tea. I don't think Tiger's actually stronger than Nayuta. I think Nayuta's just... has no intention of fighting him. Well, nothing new here.
あ、ひばりちゃん。よかったら一緒にお茶でもどう？僕が入れてあげるよ。
今は結構よ。それより今回はどうしたの？
タイガから借りた DVD をナユタがなくしちゃったんだって。これはそのお説教。
Looks like it's more a punishment than a lesson.
そんなに怒らなくてもいいじゃないですか。おとといは部屋にあったんですから、今だってちゃんとあるはずです。
だったら今すぐ部屋に行って持ってこい。
それが俺の部屋ごちゃごちゃしてて。
We know. I had been in Nayuta's room before. Snacks were left out, dirty clothes littered the floor, and the trash was overflowing. It was the complete opposite of neat and tidy. I wouldn't be surprised if any number of DVDs got lost in there.
なのですぐ見つけるのはちょっと。それにほら、ひばりさんが。
まだ口答えすんのかこのワンコは。お仕置きが足りねえらしいな。
あのさ、タイガ、そろそろ飽きてきちゃったんだけど、もうその辺にしてあげたら？第一その DVD、もう何度も見てるんでしょ？
確かに 今までにもう何度も見てる。内容も大体頭に入ってるね。
じゃあ
けど見られないって言われるとなぜか無性に見たくなるんだよ。
そんな
I kind of get what he's saying though.
つうことで DVD 探しが先だ。Now で探してきやがれ。
ひばりさん。
お嬢に構って欲しかったらとっとと DVD 見つけてこい。
は
ーい。たくあいつな。ってなんだよお嬢。そんなじっと見つめて俺に惚れたか？
そんなわけないでしょ。ただなんだかちょっと不思議だと思ったの。那由他くんとあなたの力関係が。
力関係？
ああ、那由他がおとなしく大河に従う理由？
ええ、普通脅しっていうのは強い方が弱い方にするものでしょ。
Barry's asking the same questions as you, Drag.
那由他くんはあんなに強いのにどうしてあなたに従ってるのかしら。
In terms of physical strength, at least, Nayuta was the strongest of the four boys. However, Tiger answered my question easily.
俺の方が偉いからに決まってんだろ。
社会的には同じ立場でしょ。無職なんだから。
うるせえよ。つうかそもそも腕力イコール強さって基準がおかしい。石器時代じゃあるまいし。要するにあれだ。どんなに獰猛な犬だって飼い主を噛んだりはしねえだろ。
そうそう、彼本当に犬みたいだよね。自分の中で一度上下関係を決めたらもう絶対それに逆らわない。
なんでいちいち犬に例えるの？すごくわかりやすいけど。
I certainly couldn't imagine Nayuta giving orders or someone obeying him. However,
仕事モードの方なら彼も結構しっかりしてるのに。
オフの時の那由他、完全に気が緩んでるもんね。そうだ。ねえ、君はどっちが好き？室内犬みたいな可愛い那由他と仕事モードのかっこいい番犬那由他。
both is good.
どっちって言われたら。
なんだ、すげえ悩み顔になってるぞ。
そんなことない。だいたいその質問自体が無意味でしょ。どっちも那由他くんには違いないし。
I raised my voice in hopes it would cover how I avoided the question. Then I turned away from them.
あれ？どこか行くの？
那由他くんの手伝い。一人で探したって見つけられないだろうし。
そりゃ助かるぜ。俺がお仕置きしないで済むよ。さっさと見つけてきてくれ。
DVD のタイトルは？
そうだな。一言で言うと男のロマンが詰まった DVD だな。
Tiger? What sort of DVD is this?
意味わからないこと言ってないで、さっさとタイトルを教えて。
いやー、別に構わねえけど、いいのか？お嬢にはちっと刺激が強いかもしれねえぜ。
ちょっとそれって。
まあでも見たら結構勉強になるかもな。複数ものだし。
複数？
特にピンクに注目だ。最初はクールなんだがダメだ。
ストップ！もういいわよ。
If the suggestive smirk on Tiger's face was anything to go by, it must have been some kind of indecent DVD. I get why Tiger would have something like that, but why would Nayuta want to borrow it? I couldn't believe it. I glared a moment at Tiger's grinning face and then quickly made my way to Nayuta's room. I think that Tiger's just making fun of us here. I don't think it's what he's implying. As I slowly approached the door, I remembered the last time I went to his room. It was really messy, pretty typical for a guy. People say you can tell a lot about a person by how they keep their room. I wonder if that's true for Nayuta. What I really meant was, I still don't actually know his real personality.
ひばりさんのお守り手作り
There was the cute puppyish Nayuta, happily wagging his tail.
動くな。
And then there was Nayuta the guard dog, who mercilessly took down someone who tried to harm me.
そうだ。ねえ、君はどっちが好き？室内犬みたいな可愛いナユタと、仕事モードのかっこいい番犬ナユタ。
I recalled the question Shion asked me moments ago. I like him when he's all cool and tough, but he's also way too tense like that. He's really cute when he's his usual self, but he's also awfully rambunctious like that. If I really had to choose... Yeah, what am I thinking? They're both Nayuta. I shook off my absurd thoughts and knocked on Nayuta's door.
どこにもない。こんなに探してるのに。もう DVD が自分からどこかへ行ったとしか。あ、それならタイガさんも許して。
No, won't happen.
現実逃避しないの。
ひばりさん、どうしたんですか？もしかしてお出かけですか？なら俺もついていきます。守ります。
違うわ。探し物の手伝いをしに来ただけ。
そっか。あ、でもひばりさんが手伝ってくれるってことは一緒にいられるってことですよね。
まあ、そうね。
ああ、でも俺の探し物をひばりさんに手伝ってもらうのもな。
He keeps going back and forth. He really is like a puppy. I smiled at him awkwardly as he switched between being happy and distressed. Then I turned my attention to the room.
私に遠慮はいらないから、さっさと DVD を見つけましょう。タイガさんがこれ以上怒らないうちに。
はい、お願いします。
It's not on the desk or between the couch cushions or on the bookshelf. The only likely place left is under the bed, is it?
プレイヤーの中とか？
Inside the DVD player. That doesn't help with the box though. Or do we have the box and just don't know where the disc is? In which case it would be really obvious to look in the player.
もう見ました。
じゃあ別の DVD のケースに入ってるとか？
もう全部チェックしました。
部屋の中にはあるのよね。
多分。
なゆたくん、どうして目をそらすのかしら。
あります、あるはずです。持ち出した覚えないですし。
もう一度徹底的に探してみましょう。今度はもっと細かく。
はい。でも見えるところはもう全部探したと思うんですけど。
いいえ、まだよ。
cast my gaze around the room and pointed at everything in it one by one.
ベッドの中、本棚の裏、マットの下、探す場所はたくさんあるわ。こうなったら探すのも邪魔だし、徹底的に掃除もしましょう。
掃除ですか？
部屋は綺麗になって DVD も出てくる。ほら、まさに一石二鳥じゃない？
Can Hibari come and help me tidy my room? Seems like she's good at it. After making my declaration, I left in high spirits to grab the cleaning supplies. And then...
洗濯物はすぐ畳む。
はい。
ペットボトルは蓋を外してゴミ箱へ。
はい。
ゴミ箱は溢れさせない。
Then again, I'm good at those three parts.
はい。
Several minutes had passed since we started cleaning. As if driven by a mysterious sense of purpose, I furiously tidied the room. I feel like maybe I've gotten too into the cleaning part of this plan, but whatever, it's fine. Naruto was going through a cardboard box when he suddenly stopped.
もしかして見つかったの？
はい。これ見てください。
って、待って、見せてくれなくていいから。というか、むしろ見たくな。
Is that a Kamen Rider belt? But like a puppy themed one. Naruto didn't pull out some sleazy DVD. Rather, he held a strange object with flashy decorations and some sort of mystifying mechanism.
懐かしいな。これ子供の頃の宝物で、ここにあったんだ。
なえたくん、これ何？
And this is definitely how tidying a room goes. It's like, ooh, tidy, tidy, tidy. Ooh, cool thing from a long time ago. Distraction.
あ、知らないですか？ベルトですよ。変身用の。
変身用？
ほらほら、こうして腰に当てて、こうすると音が鳴るんですよ。これは壊れててなりませんけど。
Naruto posed with the belt, his smile full of nostalgia. He looked even more like a kid than usual.
つまり子供の頃の思い出の品なのね。
はい。おじさんが買ってくれたんです。これ、子供の頃はこれで何度も何度も変身しようとしたんですよ。ポーズ取って決め台詞言って。でも変身なんてできなくて、おじさんに聞いてみたら修行すれば大丈夫だって言うからすっごく頑張ったんですけど。
It made me smile to imagine a young Naruto wearing the belt and striking a pose.
それで変身できたの？
残念ながら。でも考えてみれば当然ですよね。俺は改造人間でも運命の戦士でもないし。でもその時は変身できなくてめちゃくちゃ泣いたし落ち込みました。変身できないから俺は悪と戦ってみんなを守るようなヒーローにはなれないんだって。
Surely if Kojiro had told him from the start that it wasn't possible, Naruto wouldn't have cried. But I understand why Kojiro didn't tell him that. When you see someone so full of hope and excitement, you want to let them dream a little.
子供用のベルトだからさすがにもう入らないか。
変身しなくったってあれだけ強いんだから悪とは戦えるんじゃない？
そういうことじゃないんです。なんていうか、俺が変身したかったのは強くなりたかったからだけじゃないというか。
男のロマン？
そう、それです。かっこいいじゃないですか。誰かの助けを求める声に颯爽と現れて、どんな悪にも臆することなく立ち向かい、みんなを守る。俺もそんなヒーローにずっとなりたかったんです。でも今守りたいのはみんなじゃなくてひばりさんだけですけど。
I was caught off guard. It was like Nayata's words went straight to my heart. I'm sure he doesn't know, but that's what the hero says in The Guardian. I frantically took a series of deep breaths to calm myself down before I spoke again.
よくわかったわ。ネータ君が私を守りたいってずっと言ってたのはヒーローに憧れてたからなのね。
それもあります。俺子供の頃からずっとみんなを守って生きていくんだって思ってましたし、だから俺強くなりたくてそのためにずっと頑張ってきました。でも違ったんです。
違った？
特撮に出てくるようなヒーローはみんなを平等に守るでしょ。そういうのは俺無理だったんです。俺は心から守りたい人しか守れないひばりさんのおかげなんですよ。それが
私の？
はい、今まで出会った誰よりもこの人を守りたい、守らせてほしいと思える人、それが俺にとってのあなたなんです。
Nayata smiled happily as he leaned forward and took my hand in his.
だからこの前ちゃんとひばりさんを守れた時は俺本当に嬉しかったんです。俺が頑張ってきたのは全部この日のためだったんだなって。だから俺これからもずっとひばりさんを守っていきたいんです。
Nayata brimmed with pure happiness, shaking my arms excitedly. But I still had one question, so I asked him.
どうして私なの？ナイタ君にそう思ってもらえるのは光栄よ。だけど私はあなたに特別なことなんて何もした覚えがないの。
If anything, I feel we had a pretty rocky start. But when Nayata heard what I said, he smiled broadly in response.
そんなの簡単ですよ。それは
Oh!
失礼するよ、ナユタ。
Let him
君に
finish
渡すも
it,
のがあるん
Gia!
だけど。
I wondered what was running through Ichiya's head at this moment. He casually came to visit Nayata, but found me there. Furthermore, Nayata was holding my hand, and we were looking at each other.
一夜さん、これはその
Amazing timing. No, it's the worst timing. I wanted the end of that sentence. I tried to explain the situation hastily to Ichiya, who stood frozen in place. But then...
DVD!
Nayata shouted and pointed to the DVD in Ichiya's hand.
これです。タイガさんに借りてたやつ。
It wasn't in the room at all!
ああ、ダイニングに置きっぱなしになっていたから俺が預かっていたんだ。ただ渡すタイミングがなくてね。
よかった。ありがとうございます。これでどつかれなくて済む。
Yep, that is on me for not recognizing the sarcasm there, Drag. I should have done. I didn't read the dots at the end of the comments. Huh? Nayata jumped for joy with the DVD in his hands, but I was still confused. Wasn't it supposed to be a dirty DVD? But Nayata and Ichiya were acting way too nonchalant for that.
ナイタ君、それちょっと見せて。
I ripped the DVD out of his hands and saw... I see. It's... It's a Super Sentai show. 5 people dressed in different coloured suits and an eye-catching robot. This is...
懐かしいものだったからつい俺もパッケージに見入って
Yeah, I knew Tiger was just trying to rile us up.
一夜さんも知ってるんですか？このシリーズ面白いですよね。毎回出てくる発明品がいいですよね。あ、ちなみに俺が一番好きなエピソードはシャドウツクルンジャーが出てくる。
いや待ってくれ、その話は後でするとしてだ。今はなぜ彼女がここにいるのか、そしてなぜ手を握り合っているのか、まずは。
ただの戦隊ものじゃない。
ひばりさん？
どうしたんです？突然。
なんでもないの。こっちの話よ。
Tiger would pay for this. At night, after I finished my homework, I got ready for bed and idly thought about everything that happened. Nothing apparent came to mind. If that's the case, maybe there was some special reason I hadn't thought of. For example, in The Guardian, the hero and heroine actually met when they were young, and he made a promise to protect her. That's the twist at the end. That's right. The reveal was one of the most famous scenes in the movie. When the bodyguard figures everything out, he says to the heroine while he's bleeding,
君は僕にとって運命の人。世界でたった一人。この命をかけて守りたい女性なんだ。
I squirmed as the scene from the movie played in the back of my mind, except with Nayata's voice. I was sure I wouldn't want anyone to see my face right now. Oh, this isn't good. I'm just thinking about this because of what Samugi said. I flailed around on the couch and let out a sound of frustration. That's right. The reason why my heart ached, why my face was hot, why my chest was pounding. All of it. I had to think of it like that so I could get everything out of my mind. Ooh, whiz message.
内緒話はほどほどになさってください。
From Tiger. I finally got to watch that DVD. Thanks for the help. Tiger, don't you have something else to say to me? What do you mean? Don't play innocent. It's just an old dumb DVD, but you talked it up like it was something else. I didn't lie, did I? What? Did you think it was an erotic film involving, like, sexy space elves or whatever. That's some imagination, babe. And whose fault is that? Don't worry, babe. Nayata doesn't really have an interest in that kind of stuff. Good thing, huh? I will not forgive you, Tiger. Ooh, Tiger. When he met her, on the way home from school, I tell Nayata about a dog mascot I noticed one day.
どうして私なの？え？那由他君にそう思ってもらえるのは光栄よ。だけど私はあなたに特別なことなんて何もした覚えがないの。
そんなの簡単ですよ。それは
What was he going to say? I was thinking about my conversation with Nayata the other day while pretending to listen in class. What was he trying to say then? Why was he trying so hard to protect me? Every time I tried to ask him about it, for some reason we always got interrupted.
那由他君？
はい、何ですか？お使いですか？
いや、そうじゃなくて、この前の。
お、なよた、ここにいたか。ちょっと手貸してくれ。
わかりました。すぐ行きます。それでひばりさん、この前のって？
後でいいから。
ひばりさん、おはようございます。
おはよう、那由他君。この間のことなんだけど。シオンさん、いつからそこに？
さっきからずっと。それより那由他に聞きたいことがあるんじゃないの？
那由他君、質問が。
あ、僕のことは気にしないで。
Don't be mind. Things kept going pretty much like that. Every time I've tried to ask, I've been interrupted, which means I'm no closer to having an answer. But today's the day.
那由他君、ちょっといい？
はい、何でしょう？
聞きたいことがあって。まあ、雑談みたいなものなんだけど。
なら、家に帰ってからにしませんか？その方がゆっくりできると思いますよ。
そうね。
The workload of his is not to be underestimated. After living together for a few months, I started to understand each boy's routine. At this time, Ichia usually washed the dishes and prepped the ingredients for tomorrow's breakfast. Shion would be having after-dinner tea in the living room, and Tiger would probably be watching TV. And Nayuta...
那由他君は知らない？
那由他なら買い物だよ。朝食用の牛乳が足りないって言ったら買いに。
Foiled again. Ichia noticed my frown and stared at me.
ひばりさん、最近はずいぶん那由他のことを気にかけているみたいだね。
そう？そんなことないと思うけど。
いや、俺は気づいてるよ。正直嫉妬してしまうな。登下校が一緒なだけでなく、家でまで君を独占するなんて。
Right as Ichia was getting into his explanation, I noticed a voice on the TV.
作品賞
男優賞ほかアカデミー賞6部門でノミネートされたあの名作が今ここに。依頼で一人の女性を守ることになったボディーガードの許されざる恋を描くアクション超大作ガーディアン君だけを守る。次週のホリデーロードショーにて地上波初放送。
I spun around in a panic as if the TV had specifically called to me. The screen showed a heart-pounding image that I'd seen many times before.
おお、これすげえ人気作だったよな。一夜、お前見たことあるか？
はあ、一応ね。アクションもあるけどロマンスもあって女性が好きそうな映画だった。
その時の元カノさんは今どうしてるの？
ああ、彼女はって違う。一緒に行ったのは友人だ。
ひばり様、録画は必要ですか？
どうしてわざわざ聞くの？
いえ、DVD がある以上不要だとは思いますが、一応お尋ねしておくべきかと。
Yeah, there is no reason to record that off the TV.
え？ひばりちゃん、この映画の DVD 持ってるの？
ええ、たまたまね。
There was no real reason to hide it, but the movie was now tangled up with Nayata in my mind. I just couldn't be honest with them for some reason. Oh, Kasuga is going to say something and throw us into it, isn't he? Not another word, Kasuga. I glared at Kasuga and he smiled like he was enjoying himself.
おっしゃる通り DVD を購入したのはたまたま目についたからでしたね。それにひばり様はブルーレイの初回限定版を先に購入していらっしゃいましたし。
Kasuga!
なんだ、マジモンのファンじゃねえか。DVD とブルーレイ両方と。
なるほど。ひばりさんはああいう映画が好きなんだ。なら来週の休みは一緒に鑑賞会だな。ポップコーンでも用意してホームシアター風に仕上げるよ。
楽しみだね。僕は見るの初めてだから。ひばりちゃん、隣で解説してくれる？
Oh, that would be a terrible idea.
待って、私はあなたたちと見るなんて一言も。
If she ended up watching that movie with Nayata, I think she would explode. Everyone watches it, that means Nayata will too. I'm already feeling self-conscious about this whole thing. I need him connecting the dots too.
たったいまー。あれ？なんか盛り上がってますね。
いや、実はね。
なんでもない。
なんでそんな慌ててんだよ、お嬢。映画一本見るってだけの話だろ。
映画ですか。いいですね。俺、アクションがいいです。
I'm more and more deflated as I looked at each of their excited faces. This train was leaving the station no matter what. It actually looked suspicious if I tried to stop it now. Which meant there was only one thing I could do. I need to talk to Nayata before next week so I can put my mind at ease. Will Nayata realise his feelings if we're flipping out while watching the movie? No, I think he's too dense for that. could be wrong though. The following day after school, again Naoto was escorting me home. Naoto was tense as ever in work mode. There was no way we could chat when he was like this. But the movie was next week. I didn't have much time left. Propelled by my own impatience, I spoke with determination.
ナイタ君、寄りたいところがあるの。
まっすぐ家へ帰らないんですか？この間事件に巻き込まれましたし、しばらく寄り道は。
もうだいぶ落ち着いてきたわ。それにずっと怖がったままというわけにもいかないでしょ。
でも
ナユタ君を信頼してるの。
Naoto completely froze. I gave myself a high five when I saw his reaction, so I continued to press him further.
ナユタ君と一緒なら大丈夫。私を守ってくれるでしょ。
もちろんです。
Got him.
それでどこへ？
え？ああ、寄りたい場所よね。それは。
Anywhere we can talk in private is fine.
そうね。それ。
I was fine with any place as long as we could talk, so I chose for us to go to Rinkai Park nearby. We had the driver drop us off just before getting there, and Naoto and I walked to the park together.
この辺りはやっぱり平日でも人が多いわね。
はい。その分危険も多いですから、俺から離れないようにお願いします。
Naoto walked just behind me, so we could respond immediately if something happened. If I slowed my pace even a little, we would be so close we could touch. It alone made my heart pound. I mean, he doesn't really have to be in work mode right now. But after what happened the other day, it was understandable he'd be cautious. I smiled awkwardly and turned to look around when something caught my eye. There must be some kind of promotion happening. A person dressed as a mascot, some kind of dog, was handing out balloons to the children around them. When I saw the mascot, my eyes widened in surprise as I remembered something that happened a while ago. I turned my head toward the other voice and saw Naoto staring at me with a surprised expression.
ひばりさんもあのマスコット知ってるんですか？
知ってるっていうか、前にもああやって風船を配ってるのを見たことがあるの。
Yes, I had definitely seen that dog before. I believe it was about 6 months ago. Six months ago.
ついに手に入れましたわ。かの大御所漫画家がアマチュア時代に書いた発行部数30部しかない伝説のコピー誌。まさか実物を拝む日が来ようとは。そうよかったわね。私にはよくわからないけど、これもひばり様のおかげ。お付き合いいただき感謝しますわ。せっかくですし、素敵な気分のままどこかでお茶でもしていきましょう。ええ、そうね。それじゃあ。ワンちゃん、私にも風船くださいな。僕も。
It was some kind of dog holding a bunch of balloons. But for some reason, the dog would perform cartwheels and headstands every time it handed out a balloon.
あれは何かのキャンペーンでしょうか。 子供が大喜びですわね。気になるようでしたら風船をもらってきては。子供じゃないんだから。ほら早く行きましょう。
Tsumugi smiled happily. I nudged her to get going and I looked away from the mascot. And then...
なんだこりゃ。変な犬が踊ってやがるわ。
A man holding a can of beer waded through the children and approached the mascot.
おお、よくできてんな。最近の着ぐるみはよ、すごいね。
おじさん、風船次僕の番。ワンちゃんをいじめないで。
The drunken man had started poking the dog mascot. He grimaced when the children shouted at him.
うっせえぞガキども。何がワンちゃんだ。こういうのはな、中に人が入ってんだよ。本物の犬のわけねえっての。
Why would you say that to small children? The red-faced drunk shoved the kids aside and grabbed the mascot's head, all while wobbling from side to side.
ちょっとあなた、やめなさい。ひばり様。
The drunk looked straight at us and then staggered toward me. Despite that, I stood my ground and glared at him.
やめてあげて。子供の夢を壊すことないでしょ。そうですわ。大人げない行為は慎んで。
あんじゃ女子高生さんが代わりにおじさんと遊んでくれんのか。
He suddenly came face to face with me. I winced at the smell of booze on the man's breath. Jerk! I'm calling Kasuga! I was at my limit. I pulled out my phone and then... The drunk suddenly grabbed my arm hard.
やめ。
ウィス交換してくれんの。最近の女子高生は積極的だね。
はあ？話して。
Even though he was drunk, he was still much stronger than me. The man pushed his face even closer to mine. Stop! Someone! Yeah, I'm guessing it's Nayuta in the dog costume, right? Surely. The dog mascot from earlier ran towards us at full speed. He dashed over and then bent down, gathering strength. Then the mascot jumped at us with full force. He kept his short legs together and used them to deliver a powerful kick to the drunk. After doing the sharp drop kick, the dog fell flat on his back. He saved me. The drunk had been kicked out of the way. The dog lay on the ground, unable to get up because the costume kept getting in the way.
なんだなんだ
The children began crying due to the surprise, and the promotional staff rushed to the scene. What is going on? I looked at Tsumugi, bewildered at how I could have caused such a commotion.
もう君なんてことしてくれたんだ。マスコットがドロップキックとかイメージダウンどころじゃない。
The staff member who berated the mascot ran off to deal with the surrounding customers. The abandoned mascot just lay there like a toy without batteries. How about helping him up? I'm hoping that Hibari's gonna do that. It was an absolutely heartbreaking sight to see. I mean, that mascot saved me. Besides, a crumpled mascot wasn't something the children should see.
すみません。
I was a little confused, but reached my hand out to help the mascot up. And then...
やだー、もう帰る。
A child ran at me and pushed me from behind, and the momentum from the push made me... Oh no! Oh, that's definitely Nayata. Oh no! We've stepped on him before. I flat out stomped on the mascot.
あ、ごめんなさい。大丈夫ですか？ あの後、犬はすぐスタッフに連れて行かれてしまって、それでちゃんと謝れなかったの。今思い出してみても、あの着ぐるみに入ってた人には悪いことをしたわ。
I looked at the dog handing out balloons in the distance and gave a rueful smile.
なんて、今更だけどね。
I had sent an apology gift at the time, but that was all. I couldn't apologize to him face to face. Also, this is probably Nayuta realizing exactly who that was now as well. Because he probably didn't get a very good look from inside the mascot costume. I really wanted to thank him for saving me. I looked at the ground in regret and stopped speaking. But Nayuta said something unexpected to me next.
いえ、ちゃんと伝わってますよ。
え？
あなたの謝罪もお礼もちゃんと届いてます。
Nayuta stared at me like a young boy overcome with emotion.
俺なんです。あの日、ひばりさんに踏まれた犬のマスコット。俺なんです。
What does he mean? My eyes widened in shock and he excitedly began to explain. On that day, I was working part-time as a mascot to pay off my debts, where I handed out balloons to kids in the street. That day there was a lot of kids and things were going great. When Hibari and her friend walked by, I noticed her right away as I looked out through my costume. I thought she was stunning. But I was working at the time, so I couldn't try to interact with her. I thought she'd just pass on by. That's when she confronted the drunken man.
ちょっとあなた、やめなさい。
She really surprised me. It honestly wasn't uncommon to see a lot of weird people when working a part-time job like this. I'd always dealt with them on my own. No one ever wanted to help because then they'd get involved too. And yet...
やめてあげて。子供の夢を壊すことないでしょ。
Hibari helped me. She was just passing by, and yet she got mad at the drunk for both the kids' sake and mine. I instantly fell in love with her heroic sense of justice. So when the drunk went for her, I knew I had to help her somehow. Things went pretty much as expected. I kicked the drunk and fell down. As I struggled to get up, I kept thinking, I want to talk to her. I don't want this to be where we part ways. I just need a moment with her, just some kind of interaction. Of course, since I was working as a mascot, I wasn't allowed to say a word. I had half a mind to do something about it. I wanted to take off this annoying costume and run up to her immediately. And then, the heavens gave me a gift. She stepped on me. Hibari stepped on me with her foot. I'd been wanting to interact with her and it was like she knew somehow.
ごめんなさい。大丈夫ですか？
Barry apologized to me, but I actually wanted her foot to stay right where it was. It was a definite interaction with her, even though it was through my costume. I felt like a goddess had reached her hand out to me then. Oh, right. It was her foot. What?
痛みというか、重みというか、衝撃というか、とにかくあの瞬間、俺の中で何かが目覚めたんです。
Oh no.
そうなのね。
I guess if I think about it, Mayata has said frequently that he wants me to step on him. I didn't know that was the reason why. I mentally took a step back from his impassioned speech and gathered my wits about me. This was so incredibly unexpected. I had no idea we had ever met before. It was just one time. It keeps getting more and more like the movie. The heroine thought she'd never met him before, but it turned out they were bound by a fated encounter in the past. Oh my gosh. I quickly looked away from Nayata's happy smiling face. It's just a coincidence. That's all. There's no need to make yourself run through the whole movie and overthink things. I went to speak again, desperately trying to calm myself down. Yes, I had it. After listening to the story, I knew what I had to say. Thank you? I think? No, wait, Which of these is more letting down the guard, though? It might be the second one. No, we're gonna go with thank you. No! I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. Or rather, I was right that it was good. Oh, the sword doesn't get better. The sword is the max. Oh man, I was hoping for an upgraded weapon, but now we know. I smiled softly and Nayata responded, full of passion.
偶然じゃありません。少なくとも俺にとっては、あの出会いは偶然なんかじゃなかった。そう、そんなんじゃなくて、運命だったと思うんです。
Pete. I repeated the word in my mind and took a deep breath.
俺、嬉しかったんです。ひばりさんがあの日、俺をかばってくれたことが。そしてそれ以上に、今もまだ、あの出来事を覚えてくれていたことが。
Nayata spoke with such emotion as if he had forgotten he was technically supposed to be on bodyguard duty.
でも、かばったのはたまたまよ。偶然止めなくちゃと思っただけで。
いえ、ひばりさんにとっては当たり前のことだったのかもしれないけど、俺にとっては運命的な出会いでした。だから俺は思ったんです。きっとあなたは俺にとって運命の人、世界でたった一人、この命をかけて守りたい女性だって。
His words went straight to my heart. It was like he knew what I'd dreamt before. I could hear the words I'd dreamt overlapping with his. My heart suddenly started racing when I realized he might have seen right through me.
本当に奇跡みたいな確率ね。そんなことがあって、さらに那由他くんが 花婿候補に選ばれるなんて。
そこも偶然じゃありませんよ。春日さん経由で送ってくれたお礼の品のおかげです。そこであなたが東条のお嬢様だと知って、俺東条のご当主様高宗さんに直談判しに行ったんです。
So because of this, he went to go ask if he could be our bodyguard, I'm guessing. I felt like the pieces of a puzzle were falling into place one by one. When I was introduced to Nayata and the other potential grooms, I had almost no prior knowledge of who they were. I didn't know what kind of baggage they had, or even how they felt about marriage. I just assumed they all wanted to marry me for my money. It would have been better if that was the reason. But to be told to my face that the reason he cares for me is because I'm me? I'm going to die of embarrassment.
まあ、要するに一言で言うと一目惚れってやつなのかもですね。
Well, he's going to invoke love at first sight. Drag.
一目惚れ。
Couldn't even pretend to keep calm anymore, as one fact after another kept coming out. Feeling woozy and a little feverish, I shook my head and staggered a bit. I dug deep and used my last bit of level-headedness to get us to leave.
そろそろ帰りましょう。一刻も早く早急に急いで。
え、海を見たかったんじゃ。
もうその気分は終わり。
How could I possibly look at the ocean with Nayata? There's just the two of us with all these emotions. Can't even imagine. I bit my lip nervously and started speed walking.
待ってくださいってば。
Anyway, first things first. I had to do something about my beet red face before the car picked us up. Love at first step. Oh no. I mean, accurate. Well, and now that we've cleared that space, I am going to call it here for tonight. We have learned some things. And Hibari is a mess right now. Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new here and you've enjoyed your time, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can also follow me on social media, which is linked in the description box. The streaming schedule for the channel goes up both over there on social media and over here on YouTube. I have a suspicion that I forgot to post it there this week, but I will fix it in the post tab of the channel. The next scheduled stream of this week is Wednesday 7 PM for more Pokemon Legends ZA. Hope to see you then or another time. Once again, thank you very much for coming, and this is Kalla signing out. See ya, bye bye.